G'day everyone, Tim from vMix here, and in this video today we're going to be talking about capture devices for your live video productions. We'll be talking about how to get your camera's video signal into your computer so that you can use it for awesome live video. We'll take a look at PCI Express capture cards, external USB and Thunderbolt options, and also some NDI converters, and take a look at what's going to work best for different production situations. So if you're new to this and you want to know a little bit more, stick around. If you're creating a live video production, you'll usually want to have a live camera feed, right? Just like I'm doing today, I have this live camera as a part of my production. In order for me to use this live, high-quality, uncompressed video from my camera in vMix, I need to be able to input it into my computer somehow. Now this is where a capture device comes along. It takes that uncompressed video from my camera and turns it into a source that my computer can use. As you can see here, I have my camera outputting its live video via this SDI cable, and the other end of the cable is connected to my computer by this capture card. And finally, here it is in vMix, ready to use for my awesome live video production. Now, if you want to use your camera, whether it's a cinema camera, a DSLR, or a camcorder, and you want great video for vMix, then you're going to need a capture device of some kind. Cameras can have different settings, so you will need to make sure that your camera is designed to output live video. Check your camera to make sure that it supports a live, clean, and constant video output. You want to be able to send out your camera output with no on-screen display. You want it to be real time, so there's no delay, and you want to make sure that it won't shut off after 30 minutes, which some cameras are programmed to do. But you can check out our video on that if you want to know a little bit more information. Now, if you decide that you want to use a USB webcam as your live camera, then that's great. You won't actually need a capture device for that. You should be able to just plug it in and away you go. Now, if it doesn't work first time in vMix, try selecting MJPEG from the video format dropdown. Now, when buying any equipment for your production, it's important to think about what kind of production you plan on doing and maybe what equipment that you might already have that you can integrate with that. How many cameras will you have? What resolution are your cameras? What frame rate will you be using? Is it for a studio or will it be for a mobile production? And also, how much money do you have? These sorts of things will shape what kind of equipment that you'll need. So if you haven't already thought about these questions, then maybe pause this video, grab yourself a biscuit, sit down and make a list. Today we'll be talking about 4 types of capture devices, and each have their own advantages depending on your production, budget, and existing equipment. We'll be looking at an internal PCI Express capture cards that are installed directly to your computer, like this one here, external capture like USB and Thunderbolt, and also some NDI options. You can take a look at our website on the supported hardware page for all the brands and models that we've tested and that we support. There are columns that will also list the number of inputs, camera connection type, and how they're input into your computer. Now, if you don't want to know about a certain type, feel free to jump through in the chapters to the type that interests you so you don't have to watch this entire video. Firstly, we're going to take a look at internal PCI Express capture cards, like the ones that I have right here and probably popped up on the screen. PCI Express cards are great for live video as they connect directly to your computer's motherboard. This means they have super fast connectivity and can transfer a lot of data, which is great for live video, as uncompressed live video is a lot of data. Now, due to this, you can get PCI Express capture cards that support up to 8 inputs. You can get cards that have HDMI and SDI connectors, single, double, quad, and octo, I guess, input options like we mentioned before, HD, 4K, and high frame rate cards. So all of this is possible with a PCI Express capture card. Now, the cards are installed to your motherboard and they're screwed directly to your computer case, so you know they're going to be sturdy and they provide really good reliability. They're used across the industry in expensive switches, graphics machines, and editing computers, so you know they're going to be dependable. Wow, Tim, PCI Express capture cards sound great. How could there be any downsides? Well, one of the biggest considerations for PCI Express cards is having enough PCI Express lanes on your motherboard. You need to make sure that you have enough available PCI Express lanes for the kind of card that you're going to be using. So more and more motherboards are reducing their PCI Express slots and available lanes. A lot of them now just have a single slot for your graphics card and no additional PCI Express slots. Now, PCI Express cards will list the number of lanes that are required, so like by 4 or by 8 lanes in order for that card to work properly. So if you are considering buying a PCI Express capture card, there are a number of things that you'll need to check. First of all, you will need to check your motherboard to make sure that you have an available slot for the card and the available dedicated lanes to run that PCI Express capture card. So I've just grabbed a spare motherboard off the shelf to hopefully make this a little bit easier to understand, but we'll see. So these are my PCI Express slots here on my motherboard, and this is where you put in your graphics card and your capture card to your computer. Now, each of these slots have a certain amount of PCI Express lanes that are assigned to them for data transfer. So they're connected up for a certain amount of data transfer. So the important thing with having a capture card is that you have enough dedicated PCI Express lanes in the slot that you're going to use for your card. So typically the top one here will be a by 16 lane slot, and that's where you put your graphics card. Usually most of the data transfer is to that slot there. Now this slot here is a by 8 lane slot, which means that I could install a capture card like this Blackmagic one that requires by 8 lanes to function properly. Now, the tricky thing is that sometimes you don't get these dedicated lanes. Sometimes they're shared across different slots. So it's important to make sure with your motherboard manufacturer that you have dedicated lanes to the slots that you need. So that's very important. A lot of computers that people want to buy that are pre-built off websites for around $1,500 or $2,000 US, a lot of them don't even come with any additional PCI Express slots at all. So you're just like looking at like that there. So that's all you're getting, just the one slot for your GPU. And you know, most people don't need any additional PCI Express slots. So that's why they don't include it. It saves them money when building them. So if you are looking to get a PCI Express card, definitely go to our reference systems page where we list the specific motherboards that we recommend that we know will have enough slots and dedicated PCI Express lanes for your card. If you are going through the pre-built sort of route to try and find a computer that way, definitely email us with the computer that you want to buy so we can check out the motherboard. Like I said, most of the times they're not going to support any cards, so it's important for you to check before you purchase so you don't make any unnecessary purchases. So one final thing that might be a little bit tricky is that you might get 2 measurements when looking for PCI Express slots and lanes with your motherboard. So for example, this slot here is physically a by 16 slot. So it's the width for a by 16 card here. However, only 8 lanes might be connected to it. So it's mechanically it's by 16 because that's the width of it, but electrically it's only by 8 because you only have 8 PCI Express lanes available to that particular slot. So that's something to be mindful of when purchasing as well. And I'm sorry if this is confusing, but we do get a lot of emails about this, about why their cards aren't working when they put it into their computer. And the reason usually is because they don't have enough dedicated PCI Express lanes. PCI Express cards will also require some drivers as well. So make sure that you go to your manufacturer's website, download any software that's required and follow their instructions and installation guide step by step to make sure that it's working on your computer and therefore working correctly in vMix. If you do have any problems with that, definitely email your manufacturer to make sure that your card is up and running. Okay, I'd recommend PCI Express cards to pretty much anyone who is wanting to use a PC for a production. The reason for that is that they're really reliable. You get great connectivity and data transfer, and there's heaps of different configuration options. So if you wanted a single input HD SDI card, then you can have one of those. But if you need to beef it up with a 4 input 4K 60 HDMI card, then you can do that too with PCI Express. Now, as you can imagine, we have a lot of PCI Express cards in our studio and testing computers, and we have them running for weeks and months on end, so they're super reliable. Now, over the years, PCI Express cards have become more and more affordable, and they are available from more places than they used to be. Now, they can range from around $150 US for a single input card, right up to thousands of dollars for multi-input and higher-end professional brands. Now, companies like Elgato now have their products available in big box retailers, which makes them really accessible. You can actually maybe walk in and buy them off the shelf. There is also a wide variety of manufacturers that make PCI Express capture cards, like AJA, Blackmagic Design, Magewell, Yuan, Elgato, etc. And we spend a lot of time testing different capture devices, so you can check out the brands and models that we support on our website. Now, there is going to be a range of prices for PCI Express cards, and you can do some research to see which brand is going to be right for your budget. I'm sure that Twitter, Reddit, Facebook groups, and YouTube videos will give you some advice as to who makes the best cards. Again, when purchasing any capture device, make sure that it has the same connectors as your cameras and supports the same frame rates and resolutions and that sort of thing. It's always good to have the same kind of workflow for your cameras and your capture, so you don't have to have converters in between to make things a whole lot messier. Okay, so let's move on to external USB options for capture. These are great options if you're using a laptop or you want to be able to quickly add a camera to your PC production via USB. USB3 capture devices usually come in a single input configuration for a single HDMI or SDI camera. You plug in your camera in one end, and then you plug the device into your computer via USB 3 with the other end. Now, as I mentioned, these are great for mobile productions as they're small, easily transportable, and you can pack spares if you need to. Now, we'll use these in our trade show displays when we have laptops, and we'll usually run them all day without any issues. As they're so small and portable, many people will have one or two spare in their kit bag, just in case they need to quickly add another camera to the production. I haven't had too many people demand less cameras. It's always, oh, can we just get one more camera? Oh, wait, two more cameras. So they're always good to have around if you want to just add a camera quickly to your production. Now, maybe you've maxed out your PCI Express capture card on your PC and you need one more camera. Well, then just grab one of these USB devices and away you go. Wow, Tim, USB 3 capture sounds amazing too, but what's the downside? Well, because you're using USB 3, there's only a finite amount of USB bandwidth available on your computer. So that's something that you need to keep in mind when using USB capture. Now, we recommend using a maximum of 2 in your video production for HD video. Now, you will see people trying to use more, but it can become extremely unreliable, and it's really not worth taking those risks. Also, if you're running other peripherals on your computer alongside your USB capture, like a Stream Deck, a webcam, maybe an inflatable balloon guy, then you might have some issues as well with those things using up your USB bandwidth, and you might have problems with your capture devices because it's trying to share it and there's not enough bandwidth to go around. Also, USB ports can be a little bit dodgy as well, so they're not locking. So if you accidentally knock it, then there goes your camera. USB capture devices can be seen all over live productions, and for good reason. Reasons is because they're easy to use, they're small, portable, affordable, and readily available. They're great for people who are doing mobile laptop productions with a couple of cameras, or people who need to have an extra camera option ready to go in a matter of seconds. If you only need 1 or 2 cameras in your productions and you don't want to have a PCI Express card, or you don't have enough slots left available, then USB capture would be a good option for you as well. Now, much like PCI Express cards, there are a heap of different manufacturers that make USB capture devices, such as AJA, Magewell, Elgato, and AVerMedia, and you should be able to pick them up in your local computer retail stores as well as your favorite online retailers. So pretty much most gaming stores will have some form of an AVerMedia or Elgato capture device that you can buy off the shelf. Now, they can start from around $130 US and up to about $500 US, depending on the features of the device, the build quality, and obviously the reputation of the manufacturer. Now, we have a full list of supported devices on our supported hardware page, so check that out before buying. All right, so elephant in the room, if you do an Amazon search for USB capture, you're going to find a heap of devices. It's totally true. However, with those devices, 60% of the time, they're going to work every time. So they don't necessarily have the best rate when it comes to quality, performance, and reliability. You might get really lucky, but we don't recommend buying cheap capture devices off Amazon. So you're better off buying one that works than buying 8 of them and then finding that 7 of them don't work along the way. So we have bought some and we have tried them out, but they're just extremely unreliable. And you want to make sure that when you do a production that you're going to get a rock solid live video with no frame drops and no overheating and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you check out our website for the ones that we recommend. Lightning Bolt. Thunderbolt is a super high bandwidth protocol, which means that it's really great for live video and you can send a lot more data over it. So if you have a Thunderbolt capable laptop or PC, then you could use something like a Thunderbolt external capture device. Due to the amount of data that can be sent over Thunderbolt, you can easily send 4 HD cameras to your computer. Devices like the AJA IO 4K Plus allow you to connect up 4 SDI cameras and then bring them into your production. Now you can also build your own Thunderbolt capture device by buying a Thunderbolt enclosure like this one here, and then installing a card to that device. Wow, Tim, Thunderbolt sounds great. It must mean it's easily affordable and accessible, right? Well, not necessarily. You do need a Thunderbolt capable laptop and a Thunderbolt capture device, which is sometimes easier said than done and isn't going to be that affordable. Now you might think that you have a Thunderbolt laptop, but it's just a USB-C port and isn't Thunderbolt. So it's important to actually have Thunderbolt and check to make sure with your manufacturer that your laptop does actually support it. Now Thunderbolt cables aren't locked either, similar to USB, so they can be a little bit flimsy, so you don't want to accidentally bump the cable as well. So that can be a problem with Thunderbolt devices. Now there are a few more single input Thunderbolt capture devices hitting the market too, but you're not really utilizing the full capacity of Thunderbolt, so USB might be a more affordable option if you are looking for a single input external device. Okay, reasons for Thunderbolt. Well, if you want to do multi-camera external capture, then Thunderbolt is a great way to go. You'll just need to make sure that you're willing to commit to that Thunderbolt life with the right laptop and capture device. Now, if we need multiple cameras for our laptop productions, we go with Thunderbolt. We have an AJA IO 4K Plus that we can use. You're looking at a couple of grand for that, for the AJA box, or you could create your own Thunderbolt capture device like I have here. I bought the enclosure here, and then I've installed the card to it. And so you could probably do this well under $1,000, a few $100s for the enclosure, and then you can choose what card you want to install into it, provided that you have enough lanes in the device for the type of card you want. Seeing as NDI is more of a thing now and converters are actually available, we thought we would include NDI on our capture device list for the first time. Do you love NDI? Then an external NDI capture option may be great for you. vMix has supported NDI since its inception, and it's a great way to bring in live cameras to your video production. Not sure what NDI is? Well, it's a protocol for sending video over IP. So basically you can connect up your camera to an NDI converter and make that available on your local network. Then once it's on the local network, you can add it directly into vMix via the NDI section. So if you want to find more about NDI, you can check out the description. Now, there are more and more NDI devices hitting the market all the time, and currently you can get them from companies like NewTek, BirdDog, Magewell, and KiloView. Now, as you can see, they're really small, and they usually power over Ethernet, which means that you can use one cable for powering it and also for capturing the video onto the local network. Now, much like USB devices, you can get HDMI or SDI options. Some models also offer the option to input to your computer via USB, so you don't actually need the network. You can just use it like a USB device if you wanted a sort of a multi-optioned capture device. So some cameras actually natively support NDI and NDI HX. So if you wanted to forego an NDI capture device completely, check out NDI and NDI HX cameras from all your favorite manufacturers. Wow, Tim, NDI sounds amazing. What should I consider with it? Well, if you're not running a local network or have a gigabit network, then NDI probably isn't going to be for you. Also, you may not be a huge NDI fan yet, and you want to stick with uncompressed video via HDMI and SDI into a capture card or a USB capture device or something like that. That's totally fine as well. So that may be why NDI isn't for you. If you've got your production on a local gigabit network, NDI is an awesome option for capture. The reason? Well, NDI capture devices are portable, they're really small, they're flexible, you can do power over Ethernet, and because they're connected to the network, they use Ethernet cabling, and Ethernet cables can be run for a very, very long distance without any problems, as opposed to something like HDMI, which can only be run over a very short distance. And finally, is video over IP the future? Probably. So we actually have our entire office set up as a PoE Plus local network. So I can plug in a PoE NDI converter into the camera and into our wall socket, and it can be seen anywhere on our network, which is really handy for us. So in vMix here, I can go to add input, go to the NDI section, and then fire up this NDI converter here. And now I can bring it into a part of my production. So this is actually sitting in another room ages away, pointed out the window. So NDI is really awesome for adding video sources to the network. So NDI studios are actually becoming more and more common. So it's a really good option if you do have the network for it. Now, we don't list individual NDI capture options on our website as vMix natively supports NDI. So all NDI capture options should just work. Now they're going to range in price from around $350 US to like $1,000, depending on the features and number of inputs. Again, any sort of money things that I use in this video, it's just based on what it is today in 2021. So if you don't want to worry about capture at all, you might want to consider just getting an NDI camera. So there's no additional converter, it just goes directly from the camera onto the local network into vMix. Now it would be great if all cameras supported NDI natively, but we're not quite there yet. Fingers crossed. So that brings us to the end of our video. If you're still a little confused about what capture device you can get, totally understandable, I get it. Feel free to drop us an email with that list that you created before that I got you to do with what your production is going to be about and how many cameras you're going to need and all that kind of stuff. There are plenty of things to think about before purchasing gear for live production. So make sure that you do take some time for that to consider, what capture device you might need. Don't forget to check out our supported hardware page to see all of the capture devices that we've tested and recommended. So thanks for watching, and we'll stream you later.